And I think if we're honest, we come to the third command and we kind of feel like we can let our guard down a little bit. Like, it feels more like a good reminder than like this foundational command for life. And I think that the reality is that the reason why we think that is because we have a pretty superficial understanding of what this command is really all about. We have a pretty superficial understanding of what this command is really about. We think that the third command, the command not to take God's name in vain, it's just kind of like, just watch out what you say, be careful with your OMGs, and, it's like, you'll be fine, right? Everything's going to be okay. It's just a good reminder, right? But what I want to show you this morning is that this command is so much bigger than that. It's so much more than just about being about what we say. One commentator sums it up this way. He says, the greatest challenge to the third command isn't using God's name as a byword. It's our all too present eagerness to empty his name of its meaning by representing his name in a manner that is inconsistent with who he really is. You see, the reality is that we break this command all the time. You see, we empty God's name of its meaning all the time by using it carelessly or flippantly or thoughtlessly. We empty his name of its meaning by using his name for our own agendas, attaching his name to our purposes instead of using it to advance his own. We speak about him with our lips, but we lie about him with our lives. You see, we look at our lives, look at the things that go on in your heart, look at your temper, the way you treat others, look at the addictions that we have, the things that our lives reveal that are out of line with God's character. You see, all of us, we stand utterly condemned for dishonoring God's name. We are all humbled and brought to our knees. And instead, what we try to do is we try to get out from under the weight of that by superficially defining this command. It's just being about taking God's name as a curse word. And so we just say, well, stop saying OMG. We'll stop saying God. We'll stop saying Jesus Christ as an expletive. And what we're doing when we try to just cut that out of our lives, it's like we're like the morbidly fat guy who's stuffing his face and trying to drink a Diet Coke. You see, the Diet Coke, it's not hurting something, but it's not fixing the problem. It's not solving what's really going on. You see, and we look foolish like that when we do this. When we superficially define this command as just being about something we say, but we miss that it has everything to do with what's going on in our hearts. You see, but it's here, under the right and true weight of our own sin, under the right and true weight of God's just judgment against our own sin, against his righteous defense of the honor of his name, that the gospel can be the transformingly good news it was meant to be. You see, it's only here. You see, there's no good news if there's the good news is not good unless there's bad news. See, the bad news is that even if we could stop misusing God's name entirely, we would still be not able to use it rightly. You see, we could not honor his name as it should be. You see, but Jesus did. He honored God's name in word and in deed. He completely did it entirely, fully. As Trevin Wax writes, Jesus hallowed God's name. He makes it holy. He shows us what God is like. We who are God's people are supposed to show the world what he is like, but we have failed. And Jesus comes to this world and he succeeds. He is the perfect representation of God. You see, what Jesus does, he enables us not just to stop misusing God's name, but he empowers us to use it rightly, to hallow his name. And he did this by living the life that we should have lived and dying the death that we should have died. You see, on the cross, what Jesus did is he stood in our place. He received God's just punishment that we deserved for misusing his name and dishonoring his name. You see, and on the cross, what Jesus did, as Colossians chapter 6 says, he washed us, he sanctified us, and he justified us. All that happens in the name of Jesus. You see, Jesus pays the penalty for our sin. He washes us. He makes us clean, totally, purely. You see, Jesus, he justifies us. He makes us right with God so that we might come before him and speak his name in a way that honors him and pleases him. But more than that, he makes us clean so that we might bear his name as his adopted family, that we might do it rightly. Jesus sanctifies us. He fixes our broken mirrors. So with our words and our lives, we might actually live to the praise of his glory. He gives us new hearts and new desires, a new passion to love for him and pursue him and live for him instead of ourselves, instead of our own name, instead of our own glory. You see, it's faith in Jesus' name. The name, as Philippians 2 tells us, that is above every other name. It's faith in who he is and all that he has done on behalf. It leaves you not just forgiven, but it leaves you empowered to obey in a way you could never have done before.